Let's continue our discussion on presidency. The president's popularity and influence is dependent upon a number of factors. Presidential coattails, that idea that Congress members can get elected to the House or to the Senate based upon the popularity of the president, has limited effect because the parties are weak and Congress members are closer to their constituents. But, on the other hand, Congress is loath to fight a popular president. They're not about to go against somebody who has the will of the people and public opinion on his or her side. It's often called that honeymoon period, immediately after the president's elected for the next 100 days, that he or she can basically do anything they wish until Congress decides to start going against them. Since 1934, and except in 1998 and 2002, the President's Party has lost seats in every midterm election. Presidential character, President's personality often affects White House organization and public judgment. It's very difficult for the President, as much as he or she is in the public eye as a public figure 24 hours, 7 days a week, to do anything else but go down in the polls. The president does have the power to say no. Vetoes are rarely overridden by Congress. Veto in Latin means I forbid. The president, when he vetoes a bill, has to send a message back to the original chamber within 10 days with his or her reasons why they vetoed the bill. As we discussed earlier, in a pocket veto, if Congress adjourns while the president has sent a veto message back, the bill is dead. It's been effectively pocket vetoed, sent into a pocket, never to see the light of day again. There have been presidents that have tried to use line item vetoes, just vetoing part of the bill, but it was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court in 1998. Executive privilege is the power of the president to simply ignore a request by Congress for information when the president can say it's up to national security. I'm not going to give that information out because it would harm the privilege of the president to keep some information out of the public eye. Justification is the separation of powers as the president as commander-in-chief, and the need for confidentiality to secure candid conversation with the president's advisors. Richard Nixon tried to use executive privilege to refuse a congressional subpoena for information during the Watergate scandal. As a result, the Supreme Court ruled that the president does not have absolute executive privilege in the case U.S. versus Nixon in 1973-74. President can impound funds. The president refuses to spend funds appropriated by Congress. That was oftentimes a way for the president to buck Congress, but that was changed by the Budget Reform Act in 1974, which says that if Congress appropriates money, the president has to spend it or give reasons why, so that they have an opportunity to go over his reasoning. How successful was the president? Well, you can call it his box score. The president usually wins less than half of their initiatives presented to Congress, but the proportion of votes in Congress in which the president's position prevails wins approximately 3/4 of the time, all based upon the president's popularity and public opinion. Presidential transitions. Few presidents serve 2 terms as a result of the 22nd Amendment. Vice President succeeds the President on death with full power. There's little leadership opportunity by the Vice President. The only constitutional power the Vice President has is to break ties in the Senate. Nance Garner, who was Franklin Roosevelt's Vice President, said the Vice Presidency is not worth a warm bucket of, yeah, you can figure it out how it reads. In the textbooks, they say a warm bucket of spit. That's not what Nance Garner said. Problems of succession. 25th Amendment and disability. If the president is declared disabled or unfit to serve office, it has to be declared by the president, the vice president, or a majority of the cabinet, ratified by 2/3 vote of Congress. If the president is declared disabled, the vice president nominates a new vice president conformed by a majority of the Senate. Line of succession extends to the Speaker after the Vice President, then to the President pro tem of the Senate, then to the Cabinet members, based upon when they came into existence. So the first would be the Secretary of the Treasury. It's also the reason why at State of the Union messages you have at least one member of the Cabinet does not attend, just in case there's a catastrophe and the whole place blows up. Impeachment of the members of the executive branch. They can be impeached for treason, bribery, or what the Constitution says are high crimes and misdemeanors. So what the heck does that mean? Only the House can decide, because the House brings impeachment, the Senate sits as a trial. Judges are the most frequent targets of impeachment. There have been 5 federal judges removed from office on impeachment. Indictment by the House, conviction by 2/3 of the Senate. Those presidents that have been impeached were Andrew Jackson and Bill Clinton. Neither was removed from office by the Senate. Presidential strengths and weaknesses. President dominates foreign policy, advised by the Department of State, Department of Defense, CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, and National Security Advisor. President is acknowledged leader of the nation, constrained by purse strings. The Congress can always refuse to spend money even though the president wants them to. War Powers Act constrains the president's military powers, that the president can order troops in, but he or she has 60 days to give reasons to Congress, and constrained by public opinion, of course. Public is much more critical of economic policies. It's the economy, stupid. Elections turn on economic issues, but president has little control of the economy because only 25% of the budget is controllable by spending cuts or taxes with the Office of Management and Budget. Treasury Department usually reflects concerns of bankers. Role of the Federal Reserve Board is not under presidential control. There are 7 members of the Fed, with 14-year terms nominated by the president, confirmed by the Senate. The chair of the Federal Reserve Board serves for 4 years. The Federal Reserve Board controls supply and price of money by buying and selling government securities and setting the prime interest rate, the rate at which banks can borrow money from the Federal Reserve. That's out of the control of the president. The nightmare of every modern president is, what do I do about the deficit? Do I ask for taxes to be raised, lose an election? Do I cut spending and lose an election because I'm cutting into social programs which people depend upon and they go to the voting booth?